Hello, you fantastic little marketing bees. You're tuned in to episode 29 of the Marketing Buzzword Podcast.
This is the Marketing Buzzword Podcast, the podcast where we dissect the world's most common marketing buzzwords. Hold on tight. We are about to fly around the beehive to see the latest buzzwords that stuck to the marketing bees.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Marketing Buzzword Podcast. This is the podcast which helps you to understand what all of these business and marketing buzzwords actually mean, and how they can be helpful going forward. I'm your host, Ben Roberts, and in this show I am the marketing bee in charge of making sure I can get on the right guests and ask the right questions to make sure that these words and phrases actually make sense. And in today's show, we're going to make sense of the words, video marketing. Amazing topic, and I'm so excited to share this episode with you. Before we do so, remember that this podcast is powered by Talkative. Talkative is a company that brings together web chat, voice calls, video calls, and code browsing together in one package. Embedded into your website with just 3 lines of code, it allows your customers to call you through your website. No more international charges, no more expensive toll numbers, all through your website, easy as you like. Check it out at talkative.uk. One final thing before we get on to this week's guest. If you are enjoying the show and you are loving what I'm doing with these guest episodes and as well with the individual episodes, please do leave a review on iTunes or any other app. I really do appreciate it. Again, I know there's more of you listening and you're not leaving a review. Honestly, it takes 2 seconds. John Asperian left a little video on how to do it. Check it out at marketingbuzzword.com, and it shows you exactly how to review on iTunes and through iOS. So simple. Please, if you are enjoying the show, please do leave a review. It makes me feel amazing, and I can keep getting to wanting to do the show more and more. Right, that's more enough about me in the show. I want to introduce this week's guest, and this week's expert buzzword bee is the king of video. I love this guy. I've been listening to watching his videos for a while now, and his enthusiasm, the way he explains things, is infectious. So, I want to introduce you to Andrew Davis. What a guy. So, Andrew Davis is a best-selling author and internationally acclaimed keynote speaker. Before building and selling a thriving digital marketing agency, Andrew produced for NBC's Today Show, worked for the Muppets in New York, and wrote for Charles Kuralt. He appeared in the New York Times, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal, and on NBC and the BBC. Davis has crafted documentary films and award-winning content for tiny startups and Fortune 500 brands. He's recognised as one of the industry's jaw-dropping marketing speakers. Andrew is a mainstay on global marketing influencer lists. Wherever he goes, Andrew Davis puts his infectious enthusiasm and magnetic speaking style to good use, teaching business leaders how to grow their businesses and transform their cities. I am so excited to share this episode with you, so that's more than enough from me. Let's get on with the show. Hi, Andrew, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ben.
Good, I'm so excited. It's been a little while since we organised this. I'm so glad to actually finally get you on the show.
Yeah, I'm so sorry it took so long, but this is great timing. It's the video's so hot these days.
It's so hot. It's red hot. It's so hot. I could barely get my hands on you because you're doing too many videos.
That's right.
No, but it's awesome, and that's exactly sort of almost part of what this is all about. And it's actually, videos have been around for a long time now. They're not suddenly something that just has literally appeared overnight, but suddenly videos have become a really big deal. Now, Andrew, why is it that videos become a big deal now? I mean, this is the one generic question I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to hit you with a couple of left hooks and a right hook maybe. But why now, Andrew? Why?
Well, I think video is big right now because the production side of video has become so accessible that it feels easy or accessible for everyone. So while video and video advertising and video marketing have been around for decades, the ability for the everyman to create something that's high enough quality that, number one, they're proud of it, and number two, the audience response to it, has been kind of a high bar to set. But even in the last year or two, there have been, platforms like Instagram or Snapchat or even Facebook Live that have kind of lowered the bar, I think, for most people to just be able to pull out a phone, get on camera, get comfortable with, creating video, and then lots and lots of online solutions that make it really easy to edit video, great video, add video graphics, all of a sudden create something that looks polished and perfect, and send it out to their audience. And I think that's why we've seen kind of video explode. Essentially, the cost and barrier to entry have gotten so low that everybody's into it.
And is that a problem though? Because I guess it's one of those things. The quality was always pretty damn good, and now it's one of those things that barriers to entry come lower, and suddenly everyone's at it, and we see the quality. I think there's a couple of examples we've seen at over the years. You look at blogging, for example.
Right.
Yeah, now absolutely everyone will do it. The barriers to entry, the mediums are so there, and I'm not actually plugging Medium, but I think I've just have done it now. Literally all these different channels are open now. We see this with now podcasting as an example, where the barriers to entry are down, so more and more people are doing this, and maybe, hopefully not this one, but the quality. You know what I'm saying though, and all these different things.
Yeah, of course.
Are we getting to that point quite quickly though with video, because there are so many options? It seems like seems to be a medium that people have embraced really damn quickly, whereas ones previously don't seem to have necessarily picked up so much steam so quickly.
There's a point at which, I call it the escalation phase, where any kind of media or channel or medium all of a sudden goes through this rapid acceleration, even though it's been around for a long time, or people have been using it for a long time, or it's been even accessible for a long time. It's not like the costs of video production have plummeted in the last 6 months or 12 months, to the point at which everybody seems to be able to do it. But I think in the escalation phase, quality overall tends to drop before it gets better. But here's the thing, it really depends what business you're in. So let's say you're an industrial manufacturer and you make UV light curing glue. Well, that means nothing to most people. And if you're the first person in the industry to start doing video or video marketing or video advertising or creating video that's about UV light curing glues, the barrier to entry is very low, meaning there isn't any video, so some video is better than no video. But as the market gets more and more saturated and, the second player comes on board and starts to do nicer looking video, well, your video from a production standpoint is not as good as theirs, and it's easier to lose your market share to those people. So as people kind of pile on, inherently, I think the production value increases slowly with every player in your industry that gets involved. And I think that's only good for the consumer at the end of the day. The people who are constantly pushing the envelope and trying to continually increase the quality of the content they're producing, not just the production value, but the content itself, they tend to come out on top. The other thing is, I think the people who focus on one medium or one channel and really try to kill it in that channel instead of just trying to add it on as an additional option or idea, those people tend to do really well versus those that don't.
I think that's an incredible point. I think I want to sort of go into a little bit more. I was at a conference recently called the You Are the Media Conference, held down in the south of England.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know Mark Masters very well. It looked awesome.
Yeah, Mark did such a good job there, and they had so many people there. So you had Jason Miller from LinkedIn was talking.
Yeah, Mark Schaefer.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys were saying actually something that we should have probably been saying 5-10 years ago, and this is almost goes back to what you're saying, is that quality dropped. And it's actually what we need people to do now is slow down a little bit more, and just slow down. It doesn't need to go at 100 miles. You don't need to be producing videos every second of the day, every single day because you can. It's actually the first mover advantage isn't necessarily in doing loads. It's in doing some in a high enough quality that people cannot keep up in terms of quality, because it's easy to keep up in terms of producing lots of stuff. Anyone can produce lots of stuff. It sounds ridiculous, but you can produce loads of stuff really quickly, but you can't necessarily produce quality quickly, and that is the real differentiator. And it's the differentiator across marketing, not just in terms of video, but it seems to be we're going through that phase at the moment where people are doing videos all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, look, doing video all the time might be a good strategy in the beginning, but unless you're, especially in a market that's underserved from a video standpoint, like video is a showing medium, right? Like we're on a podcast right now. This is a telling medium. We're gonna chat and have a conversation, and it's really easy to point a camera at two people and do the same thing and expect a great result. But at the end of the day, if you have something to show people, you're going to create better video than everybody else in the world. And if you continually up your game, what am I showing my audience instead of just telling my audience constantly, and really leverage the medium for what it's meant to do, you're going to be much more successful than most.
No, I think that's a really interesting point, actually. Yeah, the success of the medium. And I guess a lot of that is knowing your audience as well, not just going on there and knowing what you say, but knowing potentially what your audience are going to connect with. So for example, I want to connect with people that are going to be potentially on the go, moving around different things. So for me, podcasting is brilliant. Whereas other people,
right,
where you want to capture attention, show something. I know I used to do a live video series from my old companies, and it's because we had physical products that people liked, and we did live video then. And it's trying to work out which medium, I guess, serves the best purpose at that time.
Yeah. Video is a show me medium. So show me something and you'll be much better off. That's why video from a how-to standpoint is really, really popular. I think with video more than any other medium, maybe in the current media world anyway, it's easy to get people to watch 10, 15 seconds, 2 minutes of a video. But it's really hard to retain the audience. And even platforms like YouTube have identified this, and they've started to look at what makes a quality video. Well, it's not a short video that gets some attention. It's a video that retains viewers longer. So they actually measure audience retention as the highest mark for creating a great video. And the videos that have the highest audience retention, meaning that most of the people that start the video actually finish the video, are how-to videos. And there's a reason for that, because in a how-to video, you are inherently showing me how to do something. So, I mean, for example, Ben, I just bought a new house, right? So, I haven't bought a new house in 20 years, and there are a lot of things that have changed in the how-to world. Simple things like we have a screen door. Yeah, exactly. So I looked, when I needed to change the hinge on the screen door, I didn't, download an ebook. I went to YouTube and said, how do I change the hinge on a screen door? And I could watch 20 videos that step by step would walk me through the exact process to change the door hinge. And I watched the whole video, because you can't start the video and halfway through go, well, I'm done. You've got to get to the end of the video. So it's really key that when you're thinking about creating videos, showing people things, and not just how-to things, but showing them using the medium for what it's meant to do, is going to create a better net result and retain the audience longer than just telling me stuff.
Is that not then a real difference between two different forms of video then? So are we not going into the differences between live video and production video? Because I guess you do a huge amount of produced video, and I follow, and this is how we connected really. I started watching your videos. And there's that medium where you're sort of showing and telling people what there's certain things and how it's practically used. But then we're seeing the real rise at the moment is in that live video, and it doesn't appear that we're doing a lot of these how-to at the moment. Is that a problem? Is that an issue, or am I maybe making something a big deal out of nothing and actually?
No. No, I think live video is a very different kind of medium. Like when you think about, even in traditional terms, what's live video good for? Live video is good for live events. And so, if you're going to watch a football match, there's no reason really to watch the on-demand version of the football match. You already know the outcome, and it's not really that useful. So, I think if we think of live video as giving people access to something that's happening in the moment and letting them experiencing it, showing it as it's happening, you're going to have much deeper success with that kind of live video. Think about call-in talk shows, right? Where you're able to interact live with the audience. That's what live video is really great for right now on platforms like Facebook or even Instagram, where you have a two-way dialogue with the audience, and you're actually, essentially taking phone calls. I actually started in the television business, and I used to produce 2 live call-in shows on television where, the viewers essentially called into a phone line, and that was the content for an hour-long talk show. Not just one phone call, but phone call after phone call after phone call. And so I think you're essentially, you shouldn't treat live video and on-demand video as the same idea. Pre-producing a video and then streaming it live isn't going to net the same effect as saying, hey, there's something important going on right now. People have a lot of questions. Like, for example, interrupt me, Ben, by the way, if you have a better question or you want to chat about something else. But I get fired up about this stuff because, like, recently the airlines made a bunch of changes to their frequent flyer programs in the United States. And there's a guy I follow on Facebook called the Points Guy. And you might have heard of him, but he's kind of a big deal when it comes to, loyalty programs for travel, airports, hotels, credit cards, those kinds of things. So as those changes came out, what he decided to do, he was getting so many questions from the audience via email and on Twitter and Facebook and other mediums that he just said, look, these are changing really fast. Why don't I do an hour-long live Facebook event tomorrow where I'll answer all your questions. Send in your questions and let's do this. And so people tuned in by droves to actually hear what was happening in real time, literally minute by minute as these airlines were changing their loyalty programs. That is a perfect use of live video. Because in the moment, people have questions and need answers, versus just waking up one morning and say, hey, this morning I'm going to go live, which I've done myself, and only to realize this is silly. Like, there's no reason to tune into me right now. I'm not doing anything fun or interesting. There's nothing I need to show. Just talking to the camera live isn't really a good use of my audience's time. You got to always put the audience first and understand, how is this going to serve them? Is live the best medium for this kind of event?
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, I had a guy called Chris Strubb on a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about the purpose of you going live. Why are you going live? What are your audience going to get out of it and resonate? And I think actually then you've almost built upon that in a different sense. So one of the notes I've written down here is actually it's almost like almost got to think of them as separate mediums. Actually, although it's
yes, exactly.
With video, it's like, I guess
it's still video. It's like a sub medium or something.
Yeah. It's like, I guess, with written content. Writing a blog is very different to writing a brochure, which is very different to writing
exactly.
or live blogging on Twitter. Okay, there we go. Long form content on a blog versus live blogging on Twitter, for example. They're just completely different mediums. Just because they're written, it doesn't mean they're actually the same thing, and they've got different goals. And I guess, again, it's almost like Twitter is essentially like the live version of blogging, and you've got so maybe people need to think about it in this context. And actually, it's something I hadn't actually necessarily considered before, and this is blowing my mind, Andrew. Blowing it. This is what it's about. But it is. Those live versus the on demand.
That's right. And I've actually often thought that Twitter missed their monetization opportunities by not understanding exactly where they fit in the media landscape. If Twitter had always said, look, we're great for breaking news, live events, big game changing kind of in the moment stuff, they would have been, I think it would have really shaped the way they monetized Twitter. What's important on Twitter instead of just placing ads? No, what's really important is if you have a time-worthy announcement or something big is happening and you need to reach an audience, then it might be worth buying access to that audience in the moment instead of thinking of it as just a branding play. And so I've always treated Twitter as a really good place to have really great in-the-moment interactions with people that aren't meant to last very long and are all about what's happening now. Here's a good example of someone who does really good a differentiation between live and kind of pre-produced or regularly scheduled like produced video that's on demand. Do you know John Legere? He's the CEO of T-Mobile, which is a cell phone company.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have T-Mobile in the UK?
We used to. Yeah, they merged with someone else, so we used to have T-Mobile. Yeah, I think they're E now or something like that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So in the US, T-Mobile has become it was like the number 6 player in the market 6 or 7 years ago, and today it's like number 2 or 3 in the market. And I believe wholeheartedly that it's because of one man. The CEO, John Legere, does an amazing job of connecting with consumers in the right way on the right medium every single day. So he has a thing live on Sundays called Slow Cooker Sunday. And it is a live show where he cooks something in a slow cooker, a crock pot, and he has like a lot of fun with the audience every single week. It's got, he makes an appointment with them and says, I'll see you on Sunday. He teases it all week on his other platforms and says, hey guys, you got to see me on Sunday. And then he, has this deep interaction live with people while he's doing Slow Cooker Sunday. And then you contrast that with when he does like a product announcement or a new announcement about the way they're going to approach the market. It's a very different kind of video. He sits down in a studio. Often he's reading a teleprompter, but it doesn't feel that way. It's carefully crafted. It's beautifully edited. It has great music. And he interacts with the people then as a result of those videos on Twitter. So he'll say, hey, I hope you enjoy this announcement. I hope you're excited about the new product. Let me know if you have questions or ideas or problems with this new concept. I'll see you on Twitter. Ask me a question there. So he's got a really good command of how to use the different media for the right kind of access to the audience and understands the value of those.
No, I think that's incredible, isn't it? And that's we almost sort of talked about this a little bit in less detail earlier, isn't it? It's about knowing the audience and knowing what medium serves you best. Now, are certain people geared up, do you think, better to do live versus sort of traditional video or on-demand video? Because I guess there are certain qualities to it. And actually, so I think Brian Fanzone, there's a lot of people talk about, actually, look, there are different maybe mediums which suit. So how do you decide whether live video is more you or traditional medium is more you? Is it a case of pure trial and error, or is it a case of just knowing yourself? How did you discover that actually some of these on-demand videos you do, which I really love, how did you discover that was something that you were good at and what you enjoyed?
Well, I mean, for me, maybe it's a little different. I mean, I worked in television for 10 years. So I produced for one of the biggest morning shows in the United States, and I wrote for a really famous television personality, and I worked for the Muppets. So those kinds of things kind of primed me to have a tendency to feel much more comfortable doing pre-produced video that's kind of high production value, edited well, and thought out, which I like to think my videos are. So I think for me, that just kind of fit the medium. Here's the thing. I don't think. Let me tell you, here's what I've noticed about the people that I know who've been very successful using video, live or on demand, doesn't matter. Those people have made a commitment to deliver to the audience something of value on a regular basis. So number one, they've made an appointment with the audience. Even people like Gary Vaynerchuk made an appointment with the audience in 2006 when he said he was going to do Wine Library TV. And if you go back and watch the very first episode, if you watch the first 75 episodes, by the way, of Wine Library TV that Gary did, they are terrible. Okay, he just is not good. And that's the case with everyone I've known who's tried any kind of video. You're not good at first because it's hard to get comfortable in front of the camera. It's hard to kind of think on your feet, be a personality. It's hard to kind of feel accessible. It's hard. There are a lot of moving pieces. Is the camera on? Especially if it's live and people are giving you thumbs up and you're like distracted. It's those kinds of things take some time to get used to. And so no matter what medium you choose, the commitment is more important than your ability when it starts. Here's the fact. You are going to suck when you start. Just accept it. And I was not good when I started. No one I know is good. Jenny Doan, who has an unbelievably successful YouTube channel. She's 65 years old. She's not very successful. When she started, she was kind of awkward. I wouldn't have watched the rest of her videos. But over time, she became comfortable and all of a sudden was able to express herself in a way that was really her. And that's what builds an audience. So if you're going to, and I think live is the same way. The other thing they all have in common is a keen focus on the value they're providing to the audience. So Jenny Doan, the woman I'm talking about, every Thursday she uploads a quick quilting tutorial, which is just a tutorial on how to quick quilt, make a quilt, a blanket in less than 6 months. She can make one. She can show you how to make one in as little as a day. And that's serving the audience first. It's not about me. It's not how cool I am. Check out my channel. This is very different. It's how can I serve the audience? And when it comes to marketing, by the way, that's much more important than, just trying to be comfortable on camera. And then, so if you make an appointment, if you actually deliver something of value to the audience constantly, and you have something that is different than everybody else in your market, I call it a hook, a simple twist on a familiar theme that's designed to ensnare or entrap your audience. Those three things are essentially the recipe for success in any video.
I think that's one of the points I really want to actually almost exacerbate from what you said. It's not about you. It's never been about you, and it should never ever be about you. So, for example, again, well, we touched on it, but always in a different light. And it's going, actually, look, it's about your audience. And that's ultimately, I think, where we've come from. Like, we're going sort of back on again, isn't it? It's understanding. And that's where live video particularly seems to be going off that way. And it's something that on-demand video, produced video, seems to have more thought around it at the moment. People that seem to go into on-demand videos seem to have put more thought because it takes more time. The barriers to entry still are a lot higher than live video still. So are we seeing then actually produced videos, do you think is the quality of content better on produced videos at the moment? And if so, is it just because live video is quicker and people are just sort of using it to be does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense. I think it's maybe a little more complicated than that. Like I actually think live video is kind of in what I call the adoption or gestation phase, which is essentially this point at which everybody has access to it, but they're not exactly sure what it's good for. Okay, so everybody's kind of experimenting with it to figure out how to make it work best for them. People like John Legere or people like the Points Guy on Facebook, some people have done a really good job of kind of finding the best use of it and then constantly executing against that little simple thing that they found works. The rest of us are kind of floundering, right? Like we're like, I don't know, we have access to live video, I'll experiment with something. So what happens in the adoption and gestation phase is generally a lot of experimentation. And what generally happens is the quality of the content overall drops a lot. Like most people who watch a live video don't find much value in it. And that's a big generalization, but I can speak from my own experience. The number of people who go live on Instagram that I then watch the video and go, I don't know where this is going. Why would I ever watch this? And even after 15 seconds, I'm like, I'm out, And it's a failing of two things. One, us critically thinking, how can I best leverage live video to make an impact on my audience? And two, I think it's kind of on the platform themselves to help us understand when and where to use live video best. Like, let's take YouTube as an example. YouTube actually very clearly understands how and where we should use live video. They stream concerts live, and they do an unbelievably beautiful job of it. They stream political debates and political stuff, very timely, kind of activities that a lot of people would want to know about and keep informed about live. They stream.
I watch hockey on.
You watch hockey? There you go. Yeah. Sporting events, right?
Yeah, field hockey is not really a big sport over in sort of global sort of TV stage.
Right.
Actually, a lot of them are being streamed through YouTube now, which is brilliant for people like me. And
it's great.
Sports, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think if you start to look at who's leveraging the live medium to do things really well, I think it helps you point your way to how you could use it well. So for example, let's say you're in an industry that has an industry trade show or an event. Well, if you want to leverage live video really well, then go to that event and be like the live reporter, where you're going to be essentially live on and off for a full 8 hours every day of the event and kind of report live from the trade show floor or from the conference sessions that you just got out of to give me the experience that I'm there myself. You're going to have a much better success with the live video you do than just saying like, hey, I'm going live to chat about X, Y, and Z, which is what a lot of people tend to do.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, though. And again, I also think LinkedIn seems to be doing okay at the moment. I see a lot of people putting videos up on LinkedIn at the moment, but actually it seems to be less pointless than I've seen the ones on Twitter. Because even though I found out a lot of the ones that are on LinkedIn maybe are a bit sort of narcissistic, maybe that's the term I'm looking for, but actually they usually seems to be that more people that are going live or putting videos on LinkedIn, which have also been recorded really quickly and just uploaded without much thought, but they seem to have at least had a purpose, and I think that's something I've noticed on LinkedIn as opposed to some of the other platforms.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I look, live video reduces the belief that you need to have a reason to go live. Whereas when you have to actually say, okay, I'm going to shoot a video for a very specific purpose, like on LinkedIn, and try to help inform people about something, or tell them about a great experience I've had, or help them understand the value of something that I've produced, even from a content standpoint. Those videos are much more useful than the ability to go live kind of commands. Does that make any sense?
It does. But I guess going from sort of a devil's advocate point of view now, is the point of going live necessarily, does it have to have a point? I guess if it doesn't necessarily have to have a specific point, but is a point good enough? This is what I'm going to try. All my words are coming out in the wrong way. Is the point good enough to just literally be yourself and access? Is that a good enough reason to go live? So, for example, if you have a following already on any medium, so for example, I've got a podcast following, is it good enough reason for me to go live just so people can meet me and maybe ask me questions? Is that worth the time that for other people just to go and watch? Or is it really, am I better off maybe doing an on-demand video that sort of talks a little bit about me, and do a raw on-demand video? Is live a good way of just being yourself? Because people have said, go live because people can see the personality behind you, they can see the real you behind you. But actually, I don't know if I've got enough to say, and I've got to wait for other people to ask questions, whereas I could... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a difficult one. No, I get it. Look, if you're going to go live, I think you have to make an appointment with the audience in a much deeper way, so that they start to understand the format of the show. Like, what are you actually trying to accomplish? So let's say you were going to do a live version of the Buzzworthy podcast, right? The Buzzword Podcast. Then, at that point, saying every... what day is today? Wednesday or Tuesday at 11 a.m. London time. I'm going to go live. I'm going to have a guest. I'm going to chat with them. Then I'm going to open up to the questions of the audience. That's much more compelling because I can make an appointment. I can tune in when it goes live and say, oh, this is a guest I'm really interested in. I can fall in love with the show and not feel like I'm just going to wait for the next time you're live to really understand, the value that you can provide me. And it doesn't do much to you as a marketer, just speaking from a purely marketing standpoint, to have a one-off live event if there's no real purpose to the long-term relationship you can build with the audience leveraging live. So I think I'm not really answering your question.
No, but
go ahead.
You did that last little point there is actually the long-term stuff, and actually it's all too easy for people to say, oh, go live so I can build this relationship. But actually, is it really benefiting people in the long run? What's his live video going to do? Are you going to repurpose it? Are you going to put it out there and just put it on Twitter and it disappears after a second? Is it going to be a live? Are you going to extract the comments from this? Are you going to build different blog posts off this? Are you learning anything? Are people learning anything about you that's going to help them come back? What is the point in people knowing more about you? Is that going to help them trust you more? And I think it's always people need to put in a lot more thought, and that's this for all sort of video marketing is, what is the thought? And actually, I think a lot of people as well is with video is amazing because I think it's one of those, with one video, you've automatically got 3 bits of content in there. Whereas if you have if you write stuff, it then takes a lot of effort to necessarily repurpose.
Yeah, right.
Whereas with video marketing, you create a video, you can put a video up, it's brilliant. You can then extract the audio and make a podcast. You can then actually take the transcript and you've got a blog post. It's actually one of those few mediums, by doing one thing, you've automatically got 3 bits of content. Whereas actually, if you do a lot of blogging, which is awesome, it takes you a lot more effort. You can't just turn a blog into a video because you then have to re-record the video. You have to then record a video, which you then got a transcript for. You're doing everything in reverse order, which actually doesn't do any time. So maybe if people are looking at repurposing and actually want to create different content that resonates with different parts of their audience, then that's where video is so powerful.
Yeah, I think I think if you want to pursue doing live video, picking something very simple and committing to it will make a big difference. Like if you want to show behind the scenes, or you want to show your personality, if you said like you're going to do Tuesday taxi cab confessionals, and you're going to go live every Tuesday on your cab ride to work and just talk to the camera and interact with the audience for that 45 minutes that you're in the cab or whatever it is, or you're on your train ride, that's very, very different. And you can build a really high quality, consistent audience by just simply doing that. Like, hey, you're essentially disclaiming the fact that this is just me chatting with you about essentially nothing, but I'm going to do it every Tuesday, and I'm going to do it in a cab on their way to work. And that's what people start identifying with and saying, man, I'm looking forward to that. I think in this world of kind of, always on and like, always accessible and everywhere, we've kind of lost the concept of being able to make an appointment with the audience and stick to it. And the people I see being really successful with live or uploaded video, on-demand video, are just really religious about making an appointment with the audience and sticking to it so that they manage their expectation and deliver on it religiously.
I think, again, that also expands on the point that you made earlier then about actually holding people's attention and getting their retention. Because actually, if you make an appointment, people know what they're signing up for. You're able to hold their attention. Because actually, if you do this more and more, people know exactly what you're doing for. So actually, it's a case of, I've talked about this on numerous previous episodes. Actually, it's one, you're doing consistency, which is nothing new. I think every damn speaker I've ever heard has talked about doing things consistently. That's
right.
But the point is, actually, is if you make that appointment and you do it consistently, you've got people then find out about it because they know stuff is coming. So it's not just you're announcing it, just, oh, it's there. It's actually, okay, well, that one's particularly of interest to me. So when I come in, I know exactly what I'm getting out for because I've seen 2 of your videos before. Okay, Andrew, I've seen 2 of your videos before. Oh, I really want to watch the next one now. You know what? You're going to see, I'm going to watch 100% of it, and I'm going to keep my attention for it because they're not particularly long either.
Yeah, right. Like, let me give you a great example. So I signed up for, there's this guy named Michael Smart. He's a public relations guy. He's really, really great. And he does a weekly email, newsletter. And I know we're not talking about email, we're talking about video, but here's my point. I think it was even last week, when I opened up my email in the morning, and started sifting through my email, I only realized what day of the week it was when I got to his weekly email. And I was like, oh man, it's Thursday. Like, that's how well I know Michael Smart's email schedule. I've come to realize that every Thursday I get this content from him, and I had not even thought what day of the week it was until I got his email. I was like, oh man, it's Thursday. This is great. I can't wait to read this. So that's like flipping the tables entirely on, not having an appointment, not making this kind of commitment to the audience, and not delivering on it on a regular basis. The more you can do that, the more successful you'll be, where people are looking forward to the content, know what to expect, and then, engage because you've trained them essentially, even subconsciously, to expect the content on a regular basis.
Boom! I think that's like a nuclear bomb of knowledge bombs.
Yeah, well, because consistency is kind of key. Like I'm really great friends with Brian Fanzo, and I love Brian. And if you don't know him, he's really good at doing lots and lots of great live video, live blogging, live kind of Instagram stuff, Snapchat. I mean, he's like a technological whiz, and his motto is press the damn button. Like, he just wants you to start streaming, which he's right. Like, get over the anxiety and just start. It's a great point. But one of the downsides to just always doing it is a great disparity in consistency and quality from the audience's expectation. So sometimes I will find myself watching 45 minutes of a Brian Fanzo live stream because I'm just totally engrossed, right? And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I can't stop watching. And then the next time it comes on, I'll start watching, but it's not for me, or it's not relevant, or it's a weird time for me. Like, I'll blame myself instead of just blaming the content. And so I turn it off and I can't, watch the rest of the live stream. you eliminate a lot of those factors if you can consistently deliver. You can stick to a format like, hey, this is what this show is for. Like the points guy, this is all about answering your questions for the rapidly changing points world we live in. Let me help you with that, and let's get this done, is very different than like, hey, let's just chat about something that's been bothering me this morning.
No, I can't agree more. And I think we had Brian on the show and we've talked about this stuff, and I think it's fascinating to see what he's talking about. And I love that concept. Again, like you said, just press the damn button. But I also love the idea then actually that you sometimes lose that consistency. And it depends on who you are, what you want. And I think you've got to find that yourself, really, haven't you? And what your audience wants. If you try different formats, but I really agree. Actually, once you do something at a regular time. So I know, for example, we're still talking about video, but this podcast goes out at 6:45 every
exactly
on that, and it knows that that's when it's coming, and it's sort of these different episodes, and I love that sort of. Hopefully, that's what resonates with yours. They go, oh, it's 6:45 on a Monday, the podcast is up. And that's what we're looking for.
Exactly. That's exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, and I think if I was going to amend Brian's awesome line, press the damn button, I would do press the damn button like every fill in the blank, right? So it would be like press the damn button every morning at 8 a.m. or press the damn button every Tuesday at 3:15 p.m. Because as soon as you get that in your mind that you've got an expectation to go live or to deliver a video, or that changes your mindset completely. And when I started doing my weekly videos called The Loyalty Loop, it was January, first week of January. I said, I'm going to commit to delivering one of these videos every single week. And in full disclosure, I've missed 2 weeks out of whatever this is, 22 weeks. And I'm pretty proud that I've stuck with it. And I beat myself up those 2 weeks that I didn't do it. And by the way, the audience reminded me. Like the first time I missed it, I got 9 emails by the end of the Thursday, because I usually send them out on Thursdays, from people saying, oh no, are you okay? Where's your video? And that's a clear sign that it's working. Like I'm getting into that audience's psyche, the appointment's working, and I'm actually delivering something valuable.
Oh God, I'm really worried now in case I ever miss an episode of this now.
Don't be worried. Like here's the thing: the audience is very forgiving. But it's when I was a swimmer when I was a kid, and the coach always told me that like for every swim practice you miss. So for every swim practice you miss, you're actually losing 5 swim practices of progress. So like it's the same. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I get it.
It's like the same. It's the same thing for consistency when it comes to content. Like for every one time you miss that appointment, you're destroying the trust you built over the last 5 weeks with your audience. And you've got to kind of rebuild it as soon as you can, because people are like, oh, he said every week, but he meant every week when he has time.
Yeah, when it suited him, yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. No, thank you so much for coming on today, Andrew. It's been absolutely amazing. Yeah. There's been knowledge bombs galore. There was even a little nuclear explosion that's gone off there, not to sort of link it with the Trump and Kim Jong-un meeting. It's all become highly relevant. It's almost like we planned all this stuff.
That's right. Well, yeah, I hope it's been fun. I've had a really, really great time, and thanks so much for having me on.
No problem at all. But before I let you go, I've got to ask you the same question I ask everyone else just before they disappear. And I'd like to surprise people if they haven't listened to the podcast. So I'll soon find out, Andrew, if you've been listening to the podcast yourself. It's always a fun one. No, but
I did. I actually listened to one this morning. It was the one we were talking all about influencer marketing, which is something I really love.
Oh yeah, Angus was awesome. So yeah, hopefully you'll know this question then. So what marketing buzzwords out there right now are you loving or hating? Come on, Andrew, hit me with it. What do you think?
Yeah, so
something that you love or hate?
So I wrote a book called Brandscaping, and it's often on the list of the most hated buzzwords in marketing. So that's one that I always love and then try to defend. And one that really bothers me, the most annoying buzzword in marketing today is engagement, for sure.
Yes, I can't agree more. Well, I can agree a little bit more. There are some other ones out there that really grind my gears, but engagement, I brought on 2 guys called Andrew and Pete right early on in the podcast.
Oh yeah, I know those guys.
talk about engaging content, and that was a really fun conversation for me. So no, I agree that the engagement is definitely a word that is grinds on the gears a little bit.
Yeah, the problem with engagement is it means something different to everybody. So if I say, hey, like, how do you measure the success of your content? And they say, well, we measure engagement. And then I say, well, what do you mean by engagement? They're like, the number of likes or the views it got or the traffic or whatever. And like, so to me, I don't know what it means. So everybody, it is like, oh man, I'm getting fired up already. It's such an annoying word.
I know this is one of the things. This is literally why I set the podcast, because these things really ground my gears. I was like, what? I'm starting a podcast about this.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you did. This has been really fun, and I hope other people hate engagement as much as I do.
Hey, brilliant. Thank you so much, Andrew. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you.
So many insights there, so many knowledge bombs, so many different ways of thinking and actually trying to incorporate video marketing into your marketing strategy, looking at sort of whether you want to go live or on demand and some of the different considerations that you'd have to put into either of them. Absolutely fascinating. I know I learned a lot, and I know that you will have too. So if you did enjoy that episode, please leave a review on iTunes and visit marketingbuzzword.com for more episodes, show notes, or other cool stuff. Loads of extra cool stuff coming down. So the next episode we're going to be talking about PR. PR is awesome. I'm excited to share that with you. Remember as well, if you want me to cover any other buzzwords, any other particular guests you want me to get on, please drop me an email to ben@ben-m-roberts.com or check me out on Twitter @roberts_ben_m. Thank you very much for listening. Till next week, goodbye.